Kevin Costner is one of America's most iconic actors and filmmakers, known for his rugged charisma, deep emotional range, and timeless roles in films such as Dances with Wolves, The Bodyguard, Field of Dreams, and the popular television series Yellowstone. But behind his successful Hollywood career is a deeply personal story of self-doubt, misfit experiences, and an eventual rise to greatness that came only through discovering and embracing his true passion. In a recent interview, Costner revealed that he did not have an easy time in school. Far from being the popular jock or the top achiever, he struggled academically. There was too much math and not enough history, he admitted, reflecting on his educational experience. "I was made to feel like a dumbbell." This confession is a sobering reminder of how rigid educational systems can sometimes overlook a child's potential when that potential doesn't fit into conventional molds. Born on January 18, 1955, in Linwood, California, Kevin Costner was the youngest of three boys. His father was an electrician and a utility executive, while his mother worked as a welfare worker. The Costner family moved frequently, and Kevin often found himself starting over in new schools and unfamiliar environments. This constant change added to his feeling of not fitting in. As a student, Costner didn't shine in math or science, subjects often prioritized in traditional academics, but he found himself captivated by stories, history, and music. Still, these interests were not enough to shield him from the feeling of being left behind. Teachers, peers, and sometimes even family might not have understood why he wasn't excelling in the more structured disciplines. Like so many creative minds who develop later in life, Costner bore the label of underachiever. For Costner, being made to feel less intelligent shaped a deep insecurity. It would take years and a courageous journey of self-discovery for him to find where he truly belonged and, more importantly, to realize that his perceived weaknesses were actually signs of an emerging creative genius. After graduating from high school, Costner attended California State University, Fullerton, where he studied marketing and finance, not exactly the breeding ground for aspiring artists. However, during his final year, he took an acting class that sparked something dormant in him. It wasn't instant success, but it was the beginning of clarity. After a chance encounter with actor Richard Burton on an airplane who told him to follow his dreams, Costner made a bold decision: he would pursue acting full-time. It was a risk. He had no connections, no formal training beyond a few college classes, and no guarantee of income. Yet, something about storytelling, the ability to convey deep truths through characters, settings, and drama, spoke to him on a spiritual level. He worked a series of odd jobs, driving trucks, doing carpentry, working on fishing boats, and even as a Hollywood tour guide. But he remained committed to his goal. Slowly but surely, he began to land roles and eventually broke out with films like Silverado and The Untouchables before reaching stardom with Field of Dreams and Dances with Wolves. What separates Costner from many in his generation is the authenticity he brings to his work. His performances never feel forced. Whether he's portraying a sentimental farmer who hears voices in a cornfield, a stoic bodyguard protecting a superstar, or a conflicted father in the Old West, his characters are grounded in emotional truth. That truth comes from a place of understanding what it feels like to not belong, to be misunderstood, to fight through self-doubt. In his interview, Costner emphasized how vital it is for people to follow their passions even when the world around them doesn't seem to understand. "You have to find that yellow brick road," he said, referencing the iconic metaphor from The Wizard of Oz. "You have to have the courage to walk it." His own yellow brick road wasn't paved with early praise or academic awards. It was lined with rejection, trial and error, and the slow cultivation of self-belief. But following it led him to a career that would win him Oscars, Golden Globes, and Emmys, not to mention a spot in American cinematic history. In recent years, Costner has doubled down on his passion for American history, particularly the stories of the West. His recent docuseries The West, which aired on the History Channel, reflects his deep appreciation for the complicated legacy of frontier America. This project goes beyond the romanticized version of cowboys and saloons. Instead, it explores the tragedies, injustices, and triumphs of real people who shaped the Western frontier. Costner has said that history was the one subject that made him feel alive in school. He felt it was the lens through which we could best understand ourselves. By diving into the true stories of the past, he not only satisfies his personal curiosity but also contributes to national conversations about identity, memory, and reconciliation. In Yellowstone, a modern-day Western about power struggles and family legacy, Costner brings that same reverence for history and human complexity. His role as John Dutton, a man caught between tradition and change, feels like an extension of Costner himself, a storyteller unafraid to wade into moral gray areas, to ask difficult questions about land, power, and heritage. What can we learn from Kevin Costner's story? First and foremost, we learn that traditional measures of intelligence do not define a person's potential. A young Kevin Costner might not have aced his algebra tests or fit in with his classmates, but he had a sensitivity to stories, a sense of justice, and a visionary eye that would eventually touch millions. Second, we learn that the most important thing we can do is follow our passion. In a world that constantly tells us to be practical, to follow the money, to stay safe, Costner is a living testament to the power of staying true to one's inner voice. As he says, you're going to be up against your parents sometimes, you're going to be up against your friends, but if you love something, you have to go for it. Finally, we learn that success is not just about talent or timing, it's about resilience. Costner's journey wasn't smooth. He faced rejection, financial hardship, and periods of self-doubt. But he never gave up. He kept believing that his passion had value, even when no one else seemed to. Today, Kevin Costner continues to work passionately not just as an actor and director, but as a musician, historian, and advocate for authentic storytelling. He has expanded his creative reach through his band, Kevin Costner and Modern West, and remains committed to using entertainment as a way to explore the deeper layers of American life. In a culture obsessed with youth, speed, and constant innovation, Costner stands out as a man who values legacy, craftsmanship, and truth. He's not trying to be trendy, he's trying to be honest. And that honesty continues to resonate across generations. Kevin Costner's story is a powerful reminder that the path to greatness rarely begins with perfection. Sometimes it begins with being labeled a dumbbell, with feeling out of place, with losing yourself in books and dreams rather than test scores and trophies. But if you can find your passion, if you can find your yellow brick road, then anything is possible. His life teaches us that what looks like failure can be the seed of brilliance. That storytelling is not just entertainment, it's a way to heal, to connect, and to understand the human condition. And that sometimes the ones who feel like misfits are the ones who go on to define the culture. In the end, Kevin Costner didn't need to be a math whiz or a science star. He just needed to be true to himself. And in doing so, he has become one of the most beloved and respected figures in modern American cinema.